information just about where we're coming from and how we can start to use uh, AI for our small businesses because we know those tools are out there and we want to give them to you so you don't have to do all of the research on your own time. So, okay, we have someone calling in from New Jersey. So we've got East Coast representation. Hi, Erin. Thanks for joining. We have Kep from the Bay Area on a finance team. Amazing. And then, oh, we're already in North Carolina, Charlotte. Thanks, Kim. Keep putting in where you are from and then also the industry you're in. Handyman is amazing. I just had a plumber at my house this morning, so we need you guys. Atlanta, Georgia is calling in, and we are a 3D photography company. We are all across the board. I am amazed. We have a manufacturer as well from Aaron. But there are more on the call. So just put in the chat what industry you are in. Let us know where you're calling from. We are just excited to have you. The National Ace team today, I'm based out of Chicago. So you can see the Chicago bean right here behind me. And then we have the Pyramid System teams as well. So just want to make sure John's camera is working. So Eric, if you want to just make sure he's a co-host so we can move forward there, because I know we had a little bit of camera details going on. Fairfax, Virginia, awesome. Cool. Keep coming in. We're just about to get started. And then I wanted to just quickly share a little bit about some opportunities with National ACE. So as mentioned, I'm Emily, and I work with the National Asian American Pacific Islander Chamber of Commerce and Entrepreneurship. We are actually the largest national organization in the country, and we serve the business interests of AAPI small business owners and all entrepreneurs across the United States. We serve as the unified voice of the AAPI small business community, and there's over 3 million AAPI-owned firms in the country. That is a new number, but it's a huge number. So we recognize that many of the folks calling in, you are employing over 5.2 million people. And we do this work through partnering with over 130 chambers of commerce throughout the country. So you may have been told about this webinar by one of the partners, or you may have heard about it straight from National ACE, but we just want to be a resource to you. So our job is to advocate for you and give you the resources you need to grow your business. One of those resources that we provide is this Capital Readiness Program. So we've helped over 600 founders raise $50 million in capital through this program, which started in 2023. And that $65 million number is since September 2023. So there's 3 components of it. As you can see on the screen, you have access to networks. So you can plug into our events in person. We do over 20 roundtables per year throughout the country. We also have an annual conference in New York this year and a Capitol Hill Day in DC. We will be doing pitch events throughout the country too, which I will get into, and that leads to access to capital. So as I said, there's $65 million in capital that we have helped AAPI and underserved entrepreneurs receive in the last 2.5 years. We want to make that be your success story too. And we have opportunities right now. We just opened our Walmart Road to Open call. So if you are have a shelf-ready product, you can look at our website, nationalace.org, and this will lead you directly into the capacity building. We are accepting applications for you to pitch live to a Walmart sourcing representative out in LA on April 3rd. And our top 10 applicants will be flown out. We have slots for a little bit over 30 pitches. So if you have, again, shelf-ready product, there's all the criteria and eligibility on our website, but we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to scale up if that makes sense for you. So that's a way to plug into the Capital Readiness Program. Joining this event is another way, or coming to one of our 20 roundtables this year. So thanks so much for joining us. Pyramid Systems is going to take it from here. They've been a great partner to National ACE in supporting the Capital Readiness Program, and we are here to help you grow your business. So plug in, get engaged, and we will talk soon. Oh, this is very important. For us to continue providing the services that we do for free, we do need you to sign some forms. This is just so that we can say, yes, we had X amount of people join this event. Yes, they are engaged. So my colleague Eric has been sending these through DocuSign. Many of you have already signed these, but please sign them if you haven't already. It's just so we can say, yes, you did this accelerator, and then you can actually graduate from it too. So we will make sure that you have those signed and you have the resources you need. But okay, I think that's all that I had. We can send it over to Pyramid Systems next. John, you're up.
Oh, hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Sabansky. I'm from Long Island, New York. I've lived in DC now for 20 years. Right now, I'm at the lovely Census campus in Suitland, Maryland. So you might see people walking by. Just really quick, talking about Pyramid Systems. We're a small business. We've been in business for 30 years. We mostly contract to the federal government to provide IT services such as mainframe migration and also artificial intelligence. And I'll hand it over to Anthony Harper to introduce himself as well.
Sure, thanks, John. So good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Anthony Harper. I'm a director for Pyramid's Client Delivery, and I also lead our project management organization. So as such, I've directly led many of our projects here at Pyramid, so I can definitely help provide insight on how Pyramid is also using AI as a small business. Thanks, John.
All right, well, welcome to the first session. Thanks again for joining us. You could go to the next slide. Okay, so on the screen, you'll see a QR code. And take out your phone and scan the QR code, and I'll have a little poll. And then real time, we'll be able to see results. So this is very interactive and a lot of fun here. And again, so this helps us with the narrative, right? What are you expecting to get out of this? Do you want to just help in day to day? You want to save cost? Do you want to improve customer service or learn something new? That's great. So neck and neck, help in my day to day. And that's an interesting one because day to day encompasses so many things. And we'll just talk about some areas where small businesses, medium businesses can use artificial intelligence to help their business operations. You can go to the next slide. All right, so what is AI? Now, one of the interview questions I got early on in my career was the difference between ML and AI. We won't go into the technical details here, but AI is software that mimics and models human intelligence, human skill, human judgment, human discernment, and it can learn patterns. So what does that mean? There's different goals for AI, and it depends on the needs. So it could be a vision model that could help you detect license plates, right? Read the license plates. Or it could be a language model. It could be your Alexa. I apologize if I set off Alexa for anyone at home, but the ability to talk to a smart device and have that device respond with something intelligent, that right there represents AI. Next bullet. And again, I think, so I heard an interesting analogy is that ChatGPT 2 years ago was the iPod moment or the iPhone moment for artificial intelligence. So just like the iPhone put the internet in the hands of literally everybody, I think ChatGPT put artificial intelligence. So it's not science fiction. In fact, I just went to a talk last night, and they said that the intelligence or the ability to provide correct, intelligent, and appropriate responses is not only increasing at an order of magnitude each year, 10 times, it's more like 100 times. So you can imagine 10,000 times in 2 years, the amount of progress we're making is insane. So it's not science fiction. Next slide, please.
Hey, John, actually, if we can go back to that slide.
Okay, sure.
On that note, I really just wanted to draw everyone's attention quickly to the image on the right here. So we actually used AI to generate the majority of the graphics in this presentation. And so we actually did that intentionally to also support the learning environment with real world examples. So as you'll see, AI is extremely helpful to generate the content quickly. This image was probably generated in less than 5 seconds using AI, but it's not perfect. If you look closely, you can see that voice recognition on the left there. The word recognition is actually spelled incorrectly. It looks like it's missing an I in the word recognition. And then if you look at the bottom right, you can see it looks like it also had some trouble spelling out the word there under the bar chart graph. And while AI is getting better and better every day, we intentionally left this in here on purpose to show that there are some challenges. This is actually a common challenge with AI image generation today. For whatever reason, it often gets some of the text wrong when it's trying to generate. And so, again, you may still need a human to review it for accuracy. Regardless, AI can still substantially boost your productivity, with that caveat. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we have another survey. Just so I could get a feel for the audience, and we could get a feel for the audience, scan this QR code and just answer any tools. And if it's other, click other. But have you used, for example, ChatGPT, Gemini? That's the Google version. A lot of people have Android phones. Gemini, you can install Gemini on your phone. Grammarly, anybody who needs to write advertising copy, for example, or blog posts for marketing. Grammarly. Midjourney, that's an image. If you say, I want a picture of a cat riding a jet ski, you could get a picture of a cat riding a jet ski. Perplexity, and then haven't tried. So that's if you haven't tried anything. Great. So I find it interesting that about 25%, so 1 in 4 of the audience has used Grammarly. That means a lot of people write. So that must be emails or newsletters and that sort of thing. ChatGPT, of course, half the room used ChatGPT. Again, if you used Claude or Grok or any of the other AI tools, then you could click ChatGPT. We're just looking at what's called a large language model or a foundational model. Love it. Oh, we got some hearts. Well, thank you. Whoever clicked heart, we appreciate that. Next slide, please. Great. So AI could help small businesses. It could help large businesses. It really scales operations and efficiency to a crazy degree, at least 10 times. So anything you need a person to do, like I mentioned before, experience, judgment, discernment, AI potentially could help enrich that. And then in addition, scale your operations as well. So I talk about boosting efficiency. There's a lot of efficiency. If you have some sort of rote task, some sort of paperwork, if you have to read documents, read legal documents, it will summarize it for you. That's an example. Improving customer experience. So I won't name the name, but I just called a major bank and I had to report a lost card. And they gave me a phone tree. And I felt like I was back in 1999. So right there, if you could easily put a customer service chatbot or some sort of voice command in lieu of that, that would really boost the customer experience. And there's other avenues for that as well. Saving costs, obviously, information drives decisions. So if you could actually quantify your spend, what your outlay is for operating expenses or capital expenditures, it'll help you tune it and make the right choices. So if, let's say, you're a restaurant and you buy too many hot dogs, right? It'll say, okay, people don't eat as many hot dogs on Tuesday. Terrible example, but you get the idea that you can optimize your spend with artificial intelligence and then stay competitive. So you saw in the poll, half the people in the audience use ChatGPT, for example. Your competitors use ChatGPT, and if they're not, they will. So right now there's sort of an arms race to use AI. So it's the way I look at it in 2003 or so, when a lot of businesses were hesitant to even get on the internet, for example. Well, now everybody's on the internet, even if it's through an app or some sort of website. It's going to be a necessity, so a new standard, as you will. So I love this.
Hey, John, looks like we
Yeah.
might have a question in the audience.
Ooh, okay. I don't see the question, so would one of you mind reading it? And take yourself off mute if you're going to read it to me.
There was
Hmm.
one about the pitch question from Michelle. Is that what you meant, Anthony, or a different one?
Or no, actually, I see it looks like someone raised their hand. Is there a question from Minna?
Oh, let's see. Minna, let's see. Minna, if you can put your question in the chat, that would be best. And then we can figure out who should answer it. But to answer that pitch question really quickly, it does have to be shelf-ready hard products. So this is not a services opportunity with the Walmart Road to Open call. But we'll keep going, John, and then when Minna asks our question, we'll interrupt you again. So carry on.
This is a great question. It's a great question. Thank you. So you could just, if you don't mind, just putting all 4 bullets on the screen. I just want to give a shout out to Chihan and Anthony. They used artificial intelligence to create these pictures, and I love this robot. It looks very, very happy and friendly. So breaking at very high level, breaking artificial intelligence down into the main quadrants, you have vision models. A great example of that is if you remember the movie Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. He had a helmet, and real time in his field of view, he could identify, okay, there's a missile coming at me. Okay, that's just a bird. I don't know if you remember that. It's a great scene. That right there just captures the essence of vision models. Language models, that's ChatGPT. So you could tell it to write, hey, write me a story about Harry Potter, and it'll write you a story creatively, brand new, generate content for that. And then we have your traditional predictive models. That's actually where most of the machine learning and artificial intelligence began back in the 1950s up to the 90s. And recently now the big thing is the generative AI. So those are the different domains of artificial intelligence. And again, you can use it to generate content, right? Do you need to create some media for Instagram, for example, to advertise an upcoming special or an upcoming event? Well, you can use generative AI for that. Demand forecasting, I got into that. Again, what are the hot sellers? I'm sure everybody's using tools, this sort of business intelligence tools, and artificial intelligence makes it easier to query those tools, if that makes sense. So a lot of times your business intelligence tools, where you're looking at demand forecasting or your spend or your foot traffic, right? They might be hard to use, confusing to use. You have to remember the commands, the pull downs. Artificial intelligence allows you to query these systems or like systems with just using your voice and natural language, right? Chatbots. Again, I can't say enough things about chatbots. Put them on your webpage. If you have an app, put them on your app, and feed it a corpus of your knowledge, anything that's specific to your business, and the chatbot will act as an intermediary or a salesperson who could instantly answer questions from the public. So that's just a great way to get some traction with potential customers. Smart menus, again, for your restaurateurs. It could figure out what items sell the best or maybe what ingredients you have. Again, you could use your imagination here. There's lots of software out there that could provide this, but a lot of restaurants today will use a smartphone or a sort of iPad device, and you could have the artificial intelligence feed it creative things each day. And then synthetic data, that's the idea of creating data. So if you want to run analysis, but you don't have enough data, artificial intelligence can fill in the gaps for you. Anthony, do you want to speak to that last bullet?
Yeah, again, just wanted to reiterate that that's actually a real world example. That's something that Pyramid has used AI for to help differentiate our business and benefit us directly. Again, as a full service IT consulting firm, our core business is developing software for federal and commercial clients. As such, we obviously need to test those applications. And so, a common challenge in software development is that you may not have sufficient data to test, especially compared to a live production application. Real world data is also often messy and incomplete, and so to try to generate all those conditions manually can take quite a bit of manual labor. And so using Amazon Web Services and other AI tools, Pyramid was actually able to create a synthetic data factory, which generates large scale amounts of random real world data for testing. And so, the benefit to us was massive. We saw a big increase in quality, a decrease in defects, and ultimately that led to improved customer satisfaction for our applications. So again, a real world example of how we as a small business also use AI.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, if you don't mind just bringing up the bullets. Okay, so in the next sessions, we'll recommend actual tools to use. There'll be a homework assignment just to try out some certain tools. Very easy, extremely easy to use. And, the first question may be, how do I get started, right? How could I personally pinpoint applications of artificial intelligence to scale my operation, increase customer conversion, boost sales, get our name out there, and everything that a small business would really like to do to increase profits, right? So the first one you want to do, ask yourself or ask your peers or your reports, what is the biggest pain point in terms of operations? What is the biggest problem that we're facing? Is it too slow to get back to our customers, right? Do we have to type in data by hand? Or do we have enough cash registers? All those questions, you want to identify your pain point. That's your first step. And then you want to prioritize the solutions, right? So you could literally ask ChatGPT, I have a pain point where I don't get enough foot traffic in my strip mall, for example. And then ChatGPT will recommend solutions to that. So then you want to prioritize your approach, right? Can you find a certain tool that will provide the maximum impact, right? So that 20% of work that'll provide 80% of value, and that's very doable. And it sounds like it's very challenging. Traditionally, you would need, an MBA or something to do this, but with artificial intelligence, it could walk you through that as well. And then, of course, always go with simple first. You'll be amazed that the simplest solutions will usually answer most of your use cases. Okay, so now we're going to get the rubber's going to hit the road on this slide, and we'll talk about some actual tools that you could use. So again, I'm a broken record here. I'll say Grok, I'll say Claude, ChatGPT, any large language model chatbot where you could prompt it, you enter in a prompt, and it responds with useful information and actionable direction. I'd recommend using that first. But then, if you're a small business, I assume you're advertising, right? And one way to target loyal customers is via email campaigns. And you might have them sign up at your store or when you provide the service to them. So something like MailChimp's that's a mouthful, MailChimp's smart segments, that right there could help you not annoy your customers, but actually craft and send at the appropriate times emails that will result in maximum customer engagement. There's analytics platforms out there. Google has one explicitly for small business, and you just plug in your data. If it's QuickBooks, if it's Excel, however you keep your data, and it'll make smart decisions for you and kind of help you do that sort of what if analysis. And then, of course, I like the idea of chatbots. I find them very useful, just targeted to your business with the intention of reducing, let's say, potential customer friction, getting them excited about your product or service, and getting them or getting yourself to close a sale. Next slide. Or at least a lead, right? A lead's great too. Okay, so Chihan, are you going to take over for the demonstration? All right, so Chihan, if you're talking, you're on mute.
So hi everyone. So we're going to make sure, we were going to give you an assignment for those who have not tried ChatGPT to try it out, because this is a very easy tool and nothing to be afraid of. So we're going to just help you to navigate. If you have your laptop and just type chatgpt.com, and you will landed to this page and there's no need to log in. You could just try it around. If you only have it on your mobile phone, download the app. Then you can also do exact the same things, even better. They have a voice. You could tap it, and you can use your voice to talk. And so we're just going to show you like a very simple way that you could chat around with the ChatGPT. For example, there's something you could say, surprise me, and whatever you want. So maybe with the tip from Farmer Almanac, and simple as that, he will just search on the website for you and tell you what to do. And if you want to start a new conversation always, then you could just click on new one and say, help me to write an Instagram post for my new vegan pasta. And if you don't like it, you can tweet it around. So for example, if you want to be more specific, oh, this is a tomato sauce or different type of things you want to do. And if you want, you can also say, please make a graph for the post.
While we wait for that graphic to come up, what are some ways that you would suggest, like editing it so it isn't so obvious that it was AI generated? Like in terms of the caption. So for example, if you scroll up, there's the double dash line, and folks say that that is a tell that you used AI right after the word cravings. So 100% plant-based pasta, packed with flavor, made with wholesome ingredients, and crafted to satisfy your cravings, dash, dash. So are there any tips there on how can I make it seem like I made this instead of ChatGPT?
Yes,
John,
so
or
John,
yeah.
you want to answer? Because so obviously this is a very general templates that they're using, but you can always customize your ChatGPT experience with a little bit tweak. For example, if you have your company language or company template that you prefer, ChatGPT responds it to you in the tone you like. So there's something you can tweak it in the system at the back. So so next section, thank you, Emily. We will talk about marketing and communication, and we will look into that. So how could you make the ChatGPT not so general ChatGPT for everybody, but for example, for national aids or for pyramid. And there is something you engineer on the back. It will be very easy. And that's something we will teach next time. So then you will see if there are some preferred language or prefer emoji for the national aids, and you can always see that pop out in the responses that ChatGPT answers.
Yeah, so we could get into a discussion of prompt engineering to tune it to the exact voice you want. At the highest level, you could type in, try to make the above copy sound less like ChatGPT and use a more natural voice, let's say local to I'll pick my own, Long Island, New York region, right? So, yeah, I don't know if you need to do it, but yeah, you just kind of tune it. So anything you think in your head, you just type into the prompt and you could tune it that way. But then there's more advanced ways to do it where you could actually put in a rubric where you have rules, don't use the word meticulous, don't use the word intricate, don't use, too much bombast or unsubstantiated, actually, whatever you want. But that's advanced stuff. At the very least, just quick, hey, make it sound more natural, make it sound like somebody from Jersey saying it. So So we had a question about the generative AI. So some of the tools like Grok and ChatGPT allow you to create images in the prompt itself. So you would just, for Grok, for example, I keep saying Grok, X, formerly Twitter, invested the $80 million or whatever to train their own large language model. So they have their own competing service. I think it's a paid service, but everybody has their favorites. It's like Windows versus Macintosh. And you could click a button that says create image. ChatGPT, obviously, you could do it in line and say create me an image. And then you just describe it with words and it will produce it. Now, videos, that's a little bit more advanced. There's more niche and technical solutions for that.
To answer that question, Chian, would we be able to show Grok as well as another example? I like how that tool gives you 4 examples usually at a time for image generation. So we could prompt it to create some images live at the time. Michelle, do you have an example of an image you want to create? Otherwise, I can make up something real quick. All right. All right. How about I like the Potomac River up here in Washington, D.C. So how about we try show me a boat floating in front of the Lincoln Monument? Yep, and so you'll see it's really cool. It generates multiple versions for you, so you can pick which one you like best. You can always generate it over and over until you find one you like. But let's see how it did. I'm always kind of amazed how well they get the look of the water. Again, this is a completely artificial image. Looks pretty believable. Though not usually the type of boat you'd see floating on the Potomac there. But again, that's what you can customize, right, with the prompts.
And they have no life vests. They should be wearing life vests.
That's true.
That's great.
And then on the chat, we have a question. How about copyright for that image? How does that work?
So these are all, you would have to look at the license for each software. For the most part, I believe they're public domain or considered public domain. But again, you'd have to research it because maybe they create Harry Potter. It looks like Harry Potter and there's IP infringement there. I would say use your judgment for your best. That's a really good question. So I'm guessing there's some lawyers on the call that can help me answer that better. A lot of small business lawyers. Okay. AI safety and privacy. Again, if you're using the open models like ChatGPT or Grok, then you have a risk of, you don't want to share any personally identifiable information, your social security number, anything that is proprietary that you want to risk leakage to the greater internet. Because the way it works, these models just look at data coming in. It's called scraping the internet, and they train and they train and train. So when you add a new prompt, they use that for more intelligence to get smarter. So be careful. Now, if you do want to use proprietary or secure information, Amazon, Google, Microsoft offers nominal fee, but a paid service to do that. So for example, at Pyramid, we have a artificial intelligence that's just for enterprise use that looks at resumes, for example. Not stuff we want to share with the internet, but it's very secure in our conclave. I mean, Department of Defense uses it, top secret missions use it. So you could trust those 3, but make sure that, if you just go into ChatGPT, don't put anything personally incriminating in there, let's say. And then On the other hand, a fun thing about artificial intelligence, it could potentially hallucinate, right? Which means just invent things. So my favorite example of this is one of the technology Q&A websites started to use artificial intelligence to answer their question. And because they were so popular, Google would always put them number 1, 2, or 3 in the search results. So somebody asked, can I melt an egg? Artificial intelligence said, yes, you can melt an egg. Here's how you can melt an egg. Obviously, you can't melt an egg. You could cook it or it's raw. So you could boil an egg, but you can't melt an egg. And because of that, Google, propagated it to the top of the search results. Obviously, they fixed the problem, but that's just an example of a hallucination of just creating something that's completely fabricated. Who is, does Abraham Lincoln like Batman or Superman better? It'll give an answer, right? And that's a hallucination because obviously they didn't have comic books back then. So just be careful, verify it. If this is critical information that you're going to make a critical decision on and you're using generative AI, again, do some homework there. All right, some homework. So if you haven't tried ChatGPT, try it. Google, if you have an Android phone, either it's built in or you just install the app. And then when you say, hey, Google, to your Android phone, you now have this, I guess 9-figure at this point, the amount of GPUs and power and just insane technology that went into training these models, huge investment on Google's part, and you could use it for free. And then also just think of a use case. So not even a use case, just think, man, there's this thing I hate doing. I avoid it. It's very rote. I wish I can't do it. Just kind of identify that, right? And then maybe you'd also think of, wait, I could use AI to help me with that. So that's your homework for next week. Just to reiterate, identify the pain points, look at some solutions, and then pick the simplest one. Pick the simplest one. Awesome. I will hand it back to you, Emily.
Thanks so much, John. We have a lot of questions in the chat, so I will throw a question your way and then feel free to answer. So the next one we just got was, is this a way that I can find customer contact information? That's a use case example. What tool would you recommend for that? So maybe we need that clarified. The original question says, is it help to find out my relevant customer contact information? But I think what they're trying to ask is, do you want to put that into the system and then filter it? If you can just clarify your question for us there. The next one that I think you can answer, John, is what is the difference of the free version versus the paid version of ChatGPT?
It's just performance. So if you noticed on Grok, the images took a while to load. If you have the paid version of Grok, it loads faster. And again, there's this concept of tokens. So how complex your input is. If you just want to ask a sentence or two, the free version is fine. But let's say you want to upload, I don't know, an entire movie and say, find the one frame that shows a ladder against the wall. That requires more tokens because those movies are probably 4 gigabytes in site. So you would need paid versions. So that's in general. I don't know the specifics of ChatGPT. Some of the paid ones, however, also will provide additional security controls. So they may provide the protection against PII. So Amazon, Google, again. So any question you ask me, you should ask one of the LLMs, and they'll probably give a better answer. In fact, I should just have them answer these. No, I'm kidding. Was there another question?
Yes. Kep was asking, what are your thoughts on the new Sora? Can you give some insights on the impact of AI agents? There's a couple. That's the first 2 questions, and then there's 3 more after.
So I haven't looked at Sora personally yet, but that generates movies, right? From text. Is that like full motion video? Thank you, Brian Pang. He answered the question. So read the chat to question to that. So AI agents, yeah, that's great. It's just a way to integrate, a more advanced way of integrating the intelligence model with other workflows. which is a good use case. Singularity, I can't answer that. I don't know. That's a philosophical question. It would take hours. What was the next question?
From Kep, he asked, are you aware of LQMs?
LQMs. No, I'm not. What is that?
And then he also asked thoughts on quantum computing. Kep, you're a fun student. You're tripping up our professor.
No, I don't get involved with quantum. I should. I had a guy work for me. He was a PhD, and that was all he did. And I didn't really understand what he did, but
That's all
it's cool
good.
stuff. Yeah.
We have another question in the chat. Michelle said, sorry if I missed it, but how can we incorporate AI chat onto my public relations website?
So that might require a little bit of development. So if you have a developer in-house, there would be, for example, Amazon has a solution where you could create a very easy, very secure chatbot based on your business, your corpus of business knowledge. And then you would need a developer to figure out how to get that widget on your website, right? So it might be JavaScript or some sort of token. Again, we can look to see if there's an easy way to do it, but I would recommend that. Or maybe so with Amazon solution, for example, it'll give you a link to a web page, so you could maybe have a separate web page as well.
And then Cindy just noted the free version of ChatGPT, you do get 20 minutes a day. So that's another difference. And then Batri's asking, or Emily's asking, I'm using a paid version and I usually upload .cvs files into GPT to calculate, but sometimes it miscalculates the number. Is there any way to avoid this, or do you have any tips on putting in the prompt for those numbers?
Oh, that's interesting. I have not experienced that pain. I would think maybe just try restructuring your data if you could engineer it somehow, maybe combine columns or apply functions beforehand. So, I mean, I could give you the nerd answer, which if no, I won't go into the nerd answer, but yeah. So,
And then Aaron's asking, what's an affordable tool to make a chatbot?
try just for starters. I would try like Google Notebook LM. That's a good one. But we could get you. So when affordable, what are you looking at roughly? I think the Amazon service you could, it's pretty inexpensive. Maybe what, like under $100 a month, right? For assuming maybe 100 people use it. Kept everyone. Nen8n is great. Make.com. Cool. Kept, next week you're going to speak. Okay, you're going to be our guest speaker.
I know that we had discussed in the presentation, John, everyone who is running a small business to sort of think through a best use case scenario or a problem that they want solved. So maybe if you can just review what the homework is before our next session. So what do you want them to do before we meet again in a week?
Identify the biggest pain point and then think, okay, could it be possible to have some sort of software intelligence do this job for me, right? And then if you're really aggressive, look for tools. So it sounds like affordable, that's a key driver, or something that's easy to integrate and put on your website, that's a key driver. So I would look for those questions. Was that clear enough, or should I summarize further?
I think that's pretty clear. Do
Okay.
you want them to also think about which tool they should use, like of the options you presented today?
Yes, that's for the those who want extra credit,
Okay.
who
So
want
we
bonus
can
points.
Let's just quickly review those tools again, maybe before we close out, just so that it's top of mind for everyone before they have to go do their homework. So if we can pull up the slide of the actual tools, and then as we present these tools again to you, think about what is that problem point. I'm the student that likes to do homework while I'm in class sometimes, okay? We're busy people. So maybe you can do your homework right now and come prepared to next session. But our question is, what is that pain point for you? And listen to these types of what tool is going to solve that problem. So John, if you can just quickly go over those one more time.
So you have your generative AI if you need to write copy or draw a picture, automated email marketing. Again, just being smart about understanding the psychology of your potential customers, using artificial intelligence to craft and send and engage customers. And then your analytics practice, your platforms there. You can look at Google Analytics and other dashboard solutions, and then AI chatbots. So again, we use Amazon, Google, Microsoft, but maybe you want to look at the two that Kep recommended, which is N8N and Make. And we will have a more comprehensive list that's more focused to like ease of integration as well, or additional ones, because the ones I mentioned are easy as well.
Got it. So I know a lot of folks said almost 50% were familiar with ChatGPT. Gemini was less familiar. So is Gemini the Google Workspace one where it helps you write your emails? Because I feel
So,
like that feels familiar. I know it's not just an astrology sign.
it's true, yes. That's their foundational model that powers all the services that use AI. So their suggested email writer, for example, and then they have a whole bunch of other services around vision, language, text to speech, their generative AI solution, and also it's your phone assistant. So they're using it for everything. Google's model is they create something in-house that they use for everything. So their file share, their network, and then they rent it out to businesses or integrate it with their apps for customers.
Wonderful. So what can we expect on next week's webinar?
So next week, we're going to look at those use cases. Actually, if people want to send us like a pain point or two, we could use those as examples, but we'll demonstrate some expected pain points that we expect at least 80% of the audience to look at, and then discuss the communication and marketing tools. So.
Wonderful. Well, if there aren't any more questions in the chat, you'll get a quiz after this, and you can actually put in, after what did I learn, you can add in my pain point is blank if you want us to potentially feature your pain point next week with a solution. So fill out your quiz. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.